Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something epic today. Excerpts from the Mahabharata.
Yeah, I know. Epic poem. Could be a little dense, right? But stick with us. This ancient Indian text is so much more than just a story. It's like a philosophical and spiritual tapestry. All these tales of gods, heroes, and moral dilemmas. And you know what? They're surprisingly relevant, even today.
Oh, absolutely. The Mahabharata is sometimes called the fifth Veda. Really gets at that depth of wisdom, the way it tackles those big questions about life, duty, and what happens because of the choices we make.
Right. And how it's structured is just fascinating. It's like those Russian nesting dolls, stories within stories, often told from completely different perspectives.
Oh, yeah. It makes you think about how everyone sees things their own way.
Exactly. We have this massive work attributed to the sage Vyasa, and it's said to have originally been 24,000 verses long. Wow. Later on, it was condensed into a 150-verse epitome. But even those smaller pieces are packed with meaning.
For sure. And the excerpts you shared come from a few of those books, the Power of Vows, as they're called.
Right. And that nested narrative structure, it's not just a clever storytelling trick. It reflects one of the core themes of the epic, the layers of meaning in life. How truth can be totally subjective depends on whose point of view you're looking from.
So true. It's like, whose story are you believing? It makes you question everything. But okay, let's get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
One thing that really jumped out at me was this fascination with omens in the Mahabharata. It's like even the gods are affected by them.
Yeah, they're not above it all, are they?
Not at all. In the Paloma Parva, we see Indra, king of the gods, witnessing the naming of Garuda, the mythical bird-like being. And get this, Garuda gets his name from his beautiful feathers. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, it's like your whole destiny hinges on something so seemingly insignificant.
Right. Seems like a tiny detail. But in the Mahabharata, even those small moments can have huge consequences.
Exactly. It sets Garuda on his path. And this whole idea of omens pops up again and again. Duryodhana's ill-omened birth cry, natural disasters before the Kurukshetra war. It makes you wonder, were these just superstitions? Or was it like how ancient Indians tried to make sense of fate and the consequences of actions?
That's like their way of reading the tea leaves, but with way, way higher stakes.
Oh, sure.
And speaking of weighty matters, the Mahabharata is full of mortals wrestling with their ancestral duty, like Astika in the Astika Parva.
Oh, yeah. Astika's story is a classic example of how lineage and fate are intertwined. His family, they're threatened by this curse, and Astika is born from this very unusual union, a Brahmin father and a Naga mother, a serpent mother. He's specifically born to break this curse.
Wow. Talk about being born with a purpose.
Yeah.
Makes you think about how much free will we really have when destiny seems to be calling the shots.
That's the big question, isn't it? It's where the Mahabharata really gets interesting. It's constantly pushing you to think about the balance, free will versus destiny. Astika ends up saving this serpent, Takshaka. Now get this, Takshaka later on plays a role in the death of Parikshit, who is an ancestor of the Pandavas.
Oh, wow. Talk about foreshadowing. It's like everything is connected.
Right.
And that really makes you think about the ripple effects of actions and how the past can echo into the future in ways we don't even realize. Speaking of actions and their consequences, the story of King Yayati and the Sambhava Parva, that's a fascinating look at choices, you know, and the potential downsides of chasing pleasure above all else. He's granted youth, but faces this terrible dilemma.
Yeah, he's got to choose. Indulge or face the consequences.
Exactly.
So Yayati's choice to go for that pleasure, it leads to a curse. It ends up transferring his old age onto his son, Puru. That's the Mahabharata in a nutshell. This tension between what we want and the unexpected consequences that can come back to bite us.
Makes you wonder if getting what you wish for is always such a good thing, huh? But wait, there's another layer to this story, right?
Oh, there's always another layer. That's the beauty of the Mahabharata. Yayati's choices set off this chain of events, ultimately leading to the Kurus and the Pandavas, the main players in the whole epic. It's like a powerful reminder. Even seemingly personal decisions can have these massive implications down the line.
Yeah, it's like that butterfly effect, you know, flapping its wings and causing a hurricane on the other side of the world.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder if we ever truly understand the impact of our choices. And speaking of impact, the Sambhava Parva also tells the story of King Santanu and Satyavati. Their marriage, it's a whirlwind romance.
Yeah.
But it leads to some really complicated family dynamics and sets the stage for conflict generations later.
It really highlights that tension, love, duty, ambition. Bhishma, Santanu's son, makes this incredible sacrifice. He gives up the throne, vows to stay celibate no less, out of loyalty to his father, and Well, Satyavati's ambition too.
Wow, that's heartbreaking. To give up everything for your family's future makes you appreciate the human side of this epic tale. It's not just gods and epic battles. It's about those very human emotions that drive us, even when they lead to unintended consequences.
Absolutely. It's the human heart of the epic.
And that brings us to the incident that really sparks the whole central conflict of the Mahabharata, the game of dice in the Sabha.
Oh, yeah. Things get real here.
This is where Duryodhana's scheming is on full display. He humiliates the Pandavas, takes their kingdom, and even Draupadi. Now, the source mentions Duryodhana's uncle, Sakuni, used unfair means during the game, which makes you wonder, was the game rigged from the start? And was Yudhishthira, leader of the Pandavas, even right to gamble in the first place?
Right. Yudhishthira's decision to gamble brings up all these questions about dharma, righteousness. Was he upholding his duty by playing? Or was it a major lapse in judgment? It's a tough one. The game of dice, it really sums up those moral dilemmas that are all over the Mahabharata, and it sparks the big question of the epic. Is war ever justified, even if it's for a righteous cause?
It's a question that haunts the whole story, doesn't it?
It does.
We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg here. But even in these excerpts, it's clear. The Mahabharata isn't just a story. It's a commentary on what it means to be human, the complexities of duty, the ripple effect of choices. It's mind-blowing. But what's amazing is how these grand narratives are mixed with smaller but equally powerful stories. They offer these glimpses into the Mahabharata's philosophical depth.
Those little nuggets of wisdom, they're everywhere.
Exactly.
It's like the epic is saying, hey, pay attention. Life lessons are everywhere, even in ancient India. And one of the most powerful lessons is about compassion. We see this in the story of King Sivi, who offers his own flesh to save a pigeon from a hawk.
Wow, that's some serious selflessness. It makes you think about how far we'd go for others, even those who seem insignificant.
Right, it challenges you.
And then there's Vidura, constantly giving wise counsel to Dhritarashtra, the king who tragically ignores it. It's like a cautionary tale about blind attachment, how it can cloud our judgment.
Vidura's story highlights how important it is to listen to good advice, to be open to different points of view, even when they challenge our own beliefs.
It's hard to do, but so important.
It is.
And speaking of challenging norms, we can't forget Draupadi. She fearlessly questions the very idea of Dharma when she's publicly humiliated.
She's incredible. Her story is so powerful, a testament to the courage it takes to stand up for what's right, even when it means going against societal expectations.
Yeah. Makes you wonder what we do in that situation. These smaller stories woven into the grand narrative, they're like little gems of wisdom. They make the Mahabharata feel so relevant, even today. It's like these lessons are timeless. Yeah.
Absolutely. They speak to the human experience, which never really changes.
But it's not just the human characters who offer those insights. The gods themselves are far from perfect beings.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely not those untouchable, perfect figures we see in some myths.
Right. They're flawed. They get jealous. They have desires. They make mistakes. They even get tricked.
They're more human than we might think.
Yeah, like in the story where the sage Narada persuades Indra to give this precious gem to the demon king Bali. I mean, it's a god being tricked by a sage.
Makes you realize even the most powerful beings can be manipulated.
Right. Nobody's immune to deception, it seems.
And that blurring of the lines between gods and mortals, it adds a whole other layer of complexity to the Mahabharata. You're never quite sure who's pulling the strings, who's being played, and maybe that's the point. The epic makes us question everything we think we know. It's like, embrace the uncertainty.
That's a good way to put it. And speaking of enigmatic figures, we have to talk about Krishna, one of the most complex characters in the entire epic. God, charioteer, strategist, diplomat. It's hard to pin him down.
He's slippery, for sure. Master manipulator. But the question is, are his actions justified because they ultimately serve a greater good? He talks about nonviolence, but he also sets in motion the most devastating war in human history.
Talk about a contradiction.
Right. He embodies this paradox, constantly walking this tightrope between dharma and real politics.
It's like he's playing chess with the fate of the world.
And what's fascinating is the Mahabharata doesn't shy away from the ambiguity of his actions. It leaves us, the readers, or in this case the listeners, to wrestle with those moral implications.
It's a reminder that there aren't always easy answers. Sometimes even the right path is full of shades of gray.
Exactly. It's not black and white.
And this theme of difficult choices, it's all over the Mahabharata. We see it with King Santanu, torn between his love for Satyavati and his duty to his kingdom. We see it with Yudhishthira, forced to gamble away his kingdom and his brothers facing the devastating consequences.
These stories highlight the heavy burden of responsibility, especially for those in positions of power. They remind us that even the best intentions can lead to unintended and often tragic outcomes.
It's like the universe is testing these characters, pushing them to their limits, making them confront the complexities of life and duty.
It's a crucible.
And it's not just kings and princes who face these challenges. The Mahabharata also explores the tension between individual desires and societal expectations.
Oh, absolutely. That's a big one.
Like Bhishma, who gives up marriage and the throne out of loyalty to his father. It's a huge act of self-sacrifice. But it makes you wonder, is he really fulfilling his own dharma? Or is he just bowing to societal pressure?
Yeah. Is he truly free in his choice?
Right. And then there's Draupadi, who challenges those patriarchal norms, questioning the very foundation of dharma when she's publicly humiliated.
She's a true rebel.
She is.
Her story is a powerful statement about female agency, the need to question traditions that might be unjust. These stories remind us that blindly following tradition isn't always the right way. We have a responsibility to examine those societal structures, to fight for what's right, even when it means going against the grain.
And sometimes that takes incredible courage.
It does.
But of course, we can't talk about the Mahabharata without talking about war. The Kurukshetra War, probably the most famous part of the epic. This massive clash of civilizations, gods and mortals taking sides.
It's the ultimate showdown.
It is. And the war is described in such vivid detail. Acts of heroism, betrayals, sacrifice. But it's more than just a physical battle, right?
So much more.
It's a battle of ideologies. Dharma versus adharma. Righteousness against unrighteousness.
A cosmic clash.
And even within the war, the lines between right and wrong, they get blurred.
They do.
Like the death of Bhishma. He's this revered warrior, but his death is orchestrated by Krishna and Arjuna, using tactics that some might consider deceptive.
It makes you question the very nature of warfare, if there can ever be true victory when the cost is so high.
Right, those moral complexities. It's a stark reminder of the brutality and tragedy of conflict. And it makes you wonder, is war ever truly the answer?
It's a question that continues to plague us today.
It does. But even though the Mahabharata depicts the horrors of war, it also offers this glimmer of hope.
Oh, for sure.
Like even in the darkest moments, there's still potential for peace.
Absolutely. Amidst the chaos and bloodshed, the Mahabharata highlights the importance of seeking peace whenever possible. It reminds us that even facing incredible adversity, there's always a chance for redemption, for healing, for building a better future.
It's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And it's not just about war and conflict. The Mahabharata is also this treasure trove of philosophical and spiritual teaching.
It's like a spiritual guidebook disguised as an epic tale.
Right. Like it's saying, hey, while you're here, let's delve into the deeper meaning of existence. We have the Bhagavad Gita, of course, this incredible philosophical dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna right before the battle.
The Gita is like a cornerstone of Hindu philosophy. It explores these profound topics: karma, dharma, yoga, the nature of the self. It's a timeless text, offering guidance on how to live a meaningful and fulfilling life.
And it's not just the Gita. There are these little nuggets of wisdom all over the Mahabharata, like the story of King Shibi, who teaches us about compassion, or King Riga, whose story emphasizes the importance of truthfulness and integrity.
It's full of those little moral compasses, guiding us towards a more righteous path, reminding us that our actions have consequences, and that living a virtuous life is essential.
Yeah, it's like the Mahabharata is this roadmap for navigating the complexities of life and understanding our place in the grand scheme of things.
It helps us find our way.
It does.
And what makes it so captivating is how it explores the whole spectrum of human relationships.
Yeah.
The destructive power of envy and greed and the rivalry between the Pandavas and Kauravas. The profound bond of friendship and Krishna's unwavering support for Arjuna. The poignant love story of Savitri and Satyavan. And those complex family dynamics that can both uplift and destroy.
It's a reminder that even amidst epic battles and philosophical discussions, it's our relationships that truly shape our lives.
They ground us. They give the epic that human dimension, making it relatable even after all these centuries.
It's like no matter how much time passes, those core human experiences, they stay the same.
Exactly.
And one thing I found really interesting is how the Mahabharata portrays its female characters.
Oh yeah, the women in the Mahabharata are far from passive bystanders. They're strong, intelligent, influential. They play key roles in shaping the course of events.
They do.
Yeah.
Like Draupadi, who fearlessly challenges the patriarchal norms of her time. We have Kunti, mother of the Pandavas, known for her wisdom and resilience. Then there's Satyavati, the ambitious queen who manipulates events to ensure the rise of her lineage. And let's not forget Gandhari, who chooses to blindfold herself in solidarity with her blind husband, Dhritarashtra.
Wow, that's a powerful statement.
It is.
These women are complex, multifaceted, each with her own strengths, weaknesses, and motivations. They challenge those traditional gender roles, showing that women are capable of leadership, courage, and profound wisdom.
They really are. It's like the Mahabharata is reminding us that women have always been essential in shaping history, even if their contributions aren't always acknowledged.
They're the unsung heroes.
And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of the Mahabharata, its use of symbolism and metaphor.
Oh yeah, the Mahabharata is a masterclass in symbolism. The characters, events, even the objects, they all represent something deeper, something that speaks to the human condition.
Exactly, like the game of dice. It's not just a game, right? It's a metaphor for the unpredictable nature of fate, the dangerous consequences of unchecked ambition.
And the Kurukshetra war itself, it's not just a battle between two families, it's a symbol of that eternal struggle between good and evil, dharma and adharma. That plays out within each of us.
It's a battle we all face, in a way. And even the weapons have symbolic meaning. Arjuna's celestial bow, the Gandiva, represents divine power and the pursuit of righteousness. And Karna's armor, which he sacrifices to help a Brahmin, symbolizes his inherent generosity, his unwavering commitment to his dharma, even if it leads to his downfall.
These symbols add layers of meaning to the story.
It's like the Mahabharata is inviting us to look beyond the surface, to dig into those deeper philosophical and spiritual truths hidden within the stories.
To uncover the hidden meanings.
All right.
And that's what makes it so enduring. The Mahabharata isn't just a collection of stories. It's a reflection of the human experience in all its complexity and contradiction. It's about love and hate, duty and desire, war and peace, loss and redemption.
It's everything, isn't it?
It is.
It's like a mirror reflecting the best and worst of humanity.
And it reminds us that we all have the capacity for both great good and great evil.
It's a powerful realization.
It is.
And ultimately, the choice is ours.
The choice is always ours.
But within all those complexities and choices, the Mahabharata also offers hope. It suggests that even in the midst of adversity and chaos, there's always the possibility of redemption, growth, and pursuing liberation.
It's a message of resilience.
It is.
A reminder that our journey doesn't end with our mistakes. It continues through our efforts to learn, to grow, and to strive for a better version of ourselves.
So true. And this brings us to one of the most captivating aspects of the Mahabharata, its fantastical elements. Mythical creatures, magical weapons, gods descending from the heavens.
I just love a good dose of fantasy.
Right.
These elements add this layer of wonder and excitement to the narrative. They capture our imagination, transport us to a world where anything is possible.
It's like suddenly the impossible becomes real.
But they're not just there for entertainment.
Right. There's always a deeper meaning in the Mahabharata.
They serve a purpose. They act as metaphors for the unseen forces that shape our lives.
Oh, I like that.
For example, the celestial weapons. They can be seen as representations of the power of knowledge and that potential for both creation and destruction that we all carry within us.
It's like a double-edged sword.
It is.
And the mythical creatures like Garuda or the Nagas, they symbolize the forces of nature, those primal energies we have to learn to live with.
They represent those aspects of existence that are beyond our control.
It's like the Mahabharata is acknowledging the vastness and mystery of the universe.
Exactly.
And all these fantastical elements, they blend seamlessly into the narrative, adding this richness and depth to the Mahabharata, making it this truly captivating and multifaceted epic.
It's a story that goes beyond time and culture, offering insights into the human condition that are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago.
It's a testament to its power.
It is.
And even though it's rooted in ancient Indian culture, the Mahabharata's themes are universal. The struggle between good and evil, the complexities of family and duty, the search for meaning and purpose. These are timeless themes that resonate with people from all walks of life.
They're the threads that connect us all.
Exactly.
It's like a global conversation starter. It prompts us to look at our own lives, our place in the world.
And what I find so inspiring is how the Mahabharata, amidst all the conflicts and moral dilemmas, it reminds us of our shared humanity.
It highlights those common threads, reminding us that even with our differences, we're all part of this grand tapestry of human experience.
We're all connected in some way.
We are.
We've covered a lot of ground today, exploring the multifaceted world of the Mahabharata. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to ponder as you continue your own exploration of this incredible epic. Given the weight of lineage, fate, and this seemingly endless cycle of karma, how much agency do we really have in shaping our own destinies?
That's the ultimate question, isn't it?
It is.
It's a question that has resonated with people for centuries. The Mahabharata doesn't offer easy answers, but it invites us to consider the complexities of free will and destiny, encouraging us to contemplate our own role in shaping our lives.
It's a question worth pondering as we navigate the choices and challenges in our own lives. And who knows, maybe by exploring the Mahabharata further, you'll discover your own answers, or at least gain some valuable insights along the way.
The Mahabharata offers a rich tapestry of stories and teachings that can provide guidance and inspiration for navigating the complexities of life, love, and the search for meaning.
Exactly. We've only scratched the surface today, but hopefully this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and given you a taste of the Mahabharata's enduring power. It's a story that continues to captivate and inspire readers and listeners even after thousands of years.
And what's remarkable is that the Mahabharata isn't just a passive text. It's a living, breathing work that invites interpretation and discussion. People have been debating its meanings and drawing inspiration from its stories for centuries.
It's like it's designed to spark conversation and self-reflection, to encourage us to engage with its themes on a personal level.
I think that's one of the reasons it continues to resonate with people today. It challenges us to think critically, to question our assumptions, and to find our own meaning within its pages. The Mahabharata isn't about providing all the answers. It's about prompting us to ask the right questions.
Well said. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the Mahabharata, I encourage you to explore this epic further. There's so much to discover within its vast and intricate narrative.
I absolutely agree. Whether you delve into specific parvas, focus on a particular character's journey, or simply reflect on the themes we've discussed today, I have no doubt you'll find something in the Mahabharata that speaks to your own life and experiences.
It's a journey worth taking.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through the world of the Mahabharata. It's a testament to the power of storytelling and the enduring relevance of ancient wisdom. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep those pages turning.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, hey, even back then, folks were wrestling with these big questions.
Right. And it makes their struggles, their triumphs, all the more relatable.
For sure. And, another thing that struck me is how even the gods in the Mahabharata, they're not these distant, perfect beings. They're flawed, they get jealous, they make mistakes.
They even get tricked, right? Like, they're not all-knowing or all-powerful.
Exactly. They're more human than we might expect.
Which is kind of comforting in a weird way, Like, even the gods mess up sometimes.
Yeah, it makes them more relatable.
It makes the whole story more believable, more grounded. Because it's acknowledging that everyone, even the gods, are part of this messy, unpredictable existence.
And it adds this layer of complexity to the narrative, because you're never quite sure who's in control, who's being manipulated, who's making the right call.
Right, because even the gods can be swayed by their emotions, their desires.
Exactly.
And that makes the human characters' choices even more meaningful. Because they're not just pawns in some divine game.
It's like they have real agency.
Right, they have to navigate this world where even the gods are figuring things out as they go.
And that's what makes the Mahabharata so compelling, I think. It's not just a story about good versus evil, right versus wrong. It's a nuanced exploration of human nature in all its messy glory.
And it reminds us that there's always more to this story than meets the eye. There are always these hidden layers, these different perspectives.
And that's a lesson we can carry with us in our own lives, right? To be open to different interpretations, to question our assumptions.
Not jump to conclusions.
Exactly.
Because the truth is often much more complicated than it appears.
And that's the beauty of the Mahabharata. It encourages us to think critically, to engage with the story on a deeper level.
And to find our own meaning within it.
Absolutely.
It's like a giant puzzle, and we're all trying to put the pieces together.
Maybe there isn't one right answer. Maybe that's the point.
Right. Like, it's more about the journey of exploration, of questioning.
Of grappling with these big questions about life and duty and fate and free will.
And love and loss and betrayal and redemption.
It's all in there.
The Mahabharata, it really does cover the whole spectrum of human experience.
And that's why it's still relevant today, thousands of years later. Because those fundamental human experiences, those emotions, those dilemmas, they haven't changed.
It's like we're all still playing out those same stories, just in different ways.
In different costumes, on a different stage.
But the underlying themes, they're the same.
The struggle for power, the search for meaning, the complexities of relationships.
The constant tension between what we want and what's right.
Between our desires and our duties.
And the Mahabharata, it doesn't shy away from any of it.
It embraces the messiness, the contradictions.
Which is what makes it so real, so relatable.
And so thought-provoking.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Mahabharata, I hope it's left you with more questions than answers.
Because that's how it should be.
Right. Like, this isn't a story with a neat and tidy ending. It's a journey that continues long after you close the book.
Or turn off the podcast.
Exactly. It's a journey of exploration, of self-discovery. And I encourage you to keep exploring, to keep questioning, to delve deeper into the Mahabharata and see what treasures you uncover.
There's a whole world of wisdom waiting to be discovered.
There is. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep those pages turning.
And keep those conversations going.
Absolutely.
Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today, we're going to be cracking open some selections from the Mahabharata, which, you know, as you probably know, is one of the most important Hindu epics. And, you know, it's not exactly light reading, but we're here to distill its ancient wisdom on some really big topics like ethics and spirituality and the nature of reality. So
it's fascinating, you know, how the Mahabharata conveys this wisdom, not through these dry lectures or anything like that, but through like these captivating stories and dialogues.
Right.
You know, it's like philosophy, but woven into this grand, sweeping narrative.
It's like sneaking your vegetables into a delicious smoothie.
Yeah.
You get all the goodness.
Exactly.
Without even realizing it.
Without the bad taste.
Well, where do we even begin?
Right.
I mean, with something as massive as the Mahabharata.
Yeah. I mean, it's epic in every sense of the word.
It really is.
Well, I think a good starting point might be with this concept of dharma.
Okay.
Which is often translated as, you know, righteousness or duty. And it's really a foundation for a fulfilling life, according to the Mahabharata.
Dharma. Okay. We hear that word a lot.
We do.
But what does living by dharma actually look like?
Yeah.
Like in the context of these stories?
Well, the Mahabharata gives us some pretty vivid examples.
Okay.
Take the story of King Vidarbha.
Okay.
He was born as Kshatriya,
the
warrior caste. But through his, like, unwavering commitment to righteous actions, he actually achieves the status of a Brahmana, the priestly caste.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
He changes castes just by being a good guy.
It's a powerful illustration that your actions, your dharma, can have, you know, this really transformative effect, regardless of your social standing.
Wow.
In fact, the sage Brigu, he states that Vidarbha's devotion to dharma is actually what earned him this extraordinary transformation.
So it's not about, like, who you are by birth, but what you do with your life.
Exactly.
That's a pretty profound message.
It is, and it connects to another key idea that's kind of woven throughout the Mahabharata. And that is the importance of serving brahmanas. Those who dedicate themselves to spiritual knowledge. And in fact, the earth herself proclaims that serving brahmins actually purifies a person, leading to prosperity, fame, and knowledge.
So acting righteously and respecting those dedicated to wisdom.
Yes.
This seem like two pretty solid takeaways right there.
Yeah, without a doubt. But the Mahabharata doesn't stop there. It also delves into all sorts of complex human dynamics. Including a fascinating and sometimes paradoxical portrayal of women.
Okay, let's dive into that. Because, you know, the portrayal of women in ancient texts can be a bit, shall we say, complicated?
A little bit, yeah.
So how does the Mahabharata approach this?
So it's a nuanced picture. On the one hand, you have King Pandu, who, influenced by Brihaspati, the preceptor of the gods, claims that women have this power to manipulate appearances, making truth seem like a lie and vice versa.
Wow, that's a pretty potent ability.
It is.
It suggests a certain level of, like, caution?
Yeah.
Almost a fear surrounding feminine power?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then we have man, the progenitor of humanity, who acknowledges women's perceived weaknesses and entrusts them to men's protection.
So on the one hand, they're seen as powerful manipulators, and on the other, they need protection. That seems like a bit of a contradiction.
It does, and that's what makes the Mahabharata's portrayal of women so intriguing, because while acknowledging, you know, their potential for manipulation and their vulnerability, the text also emphasizes their crucial role in men's righteousness,
Okay.
their importance in both spiritual growth and the attainment of, worldly pleasures.
So it's not a black and white good versus bad kind of portrayal.
Not at all.
It's more about recognizing the complexity
Yeah.
and multifaceted nature of women.
Mhm.
They're strong and influential,
Yes.
yet also vulnerable.
Yes.
It kind of makes you wonder, listener, if this reflects a broader anxiety about female power that existed even back then.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And this complexity is a hallmark of the Mahabharata.
Okay.
It grapples with human nature in all its messy glory.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes, the power of sacrifice and charity, known as Dana.
Okay, I love a good story.
Okay.
So hit me with some examples of how the Mahabharata illustrates this concept of Dana.
Okay, well, there's King Maruta,
Okay.
who performed these lavish horse sacrifices
Mhm.
and was divinely rewarded with mountains of gold.
Wow.
And then there's the story of King Rantadeva,
Okay.
who ascended to heaven simply by offering food to those in need.
Okay, so pretty straightforward, right? Generosity equals good karma.
You would think so, but
Okay.
there's a twist.
Oh, I know it.
We also have the story of King Nariga.
Okay.
He donated thousands of cows, but ended up suffering in the afterlife
Oh, no.
for giving away just one that wasn't rightfully his.
Ouch, that's a tough lesson.
Yeah.
It seems that intention matters
Yeah,
just as much as the act of giving.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this, listener?
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced a situation where the intention behind an act made all the difference?
It's a powerful reminder
Yeah.
that true generosity lies not just in the act of giving,
Uh-huh.
but in the purity of the heart behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The Mahabharata suggests that our intentions shape our karma,
Wow.
even more so than the scale of our actions.
Okay, now we're getting into some seriously deep stuff.
I know, right?
But before we go down that rabbit hole,
Okay.
let's shift gears a bit and explore another central theme of the Mahabharata,
Okay.
the pursuit of liberation or moksha.
Yes. And this is where the Mahabharata really shines in its inclusivity. Unlike some other spiritual texts that prescribe a single path,
Mm-hmm.
it recognizes multiple paths to liberation, acknowledging that different individuals
Okay.
may resonate with different approaches.
I'm intrigued. I bet you're just dying to tell me about these different paths, so go for it.
Okay, well, one prominent path is Jnana Yoga,
Okay.
the path of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We see this illustrated through dialogues
Okay.
between sages like Ashtavakra,
Okay.
who emphasizes the impermanence of the material world
Uh-huh.
and the importance of understanding the true nature of the soul.
So it's about using your intellect,
Yeah.
gaining wisdom and insight as the keys to liberation.
Mhm.
What else is there?
Well, then we have Karma Yoga,
Okay.
the path of action,
Okay.
as advocated by Krishna.
Okay.
He encourages performing one's duties without attachment to the results,
Right.
emphasizing selfless service as a way to purify the soul.
So one path emphasizes like inner wisdom, the other outward action.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So then there's Bhakti Yoga,
Okay.
the path of devotion.
Okay.
Throughout the Mahabharata, we see characters expressing this unwavering reverence towards figures like Krishna and Shiva.
Yeah.
This path emphasizes the power of love and surrender to the divine.
It's like choosing a spiritual path that aligns with your personality type.
I like that.
Yeah. Are there any more options on this divine menu?
Absolutely. And finally, we have sannyasa,
Okay.
the path of renunciation,
Okay.
demonstrated by the sage Sukha.
Mm.
He abandons all worldly attachments
Wow.
to pursue spiritual liberation, seeking a life of solitude and contemplation.
Okay, so we've got the path of knowledge, action, devotion, and renunciation that covers a lot of ground.
It does.
What's so groundbreaking is that the Mahabharata acknowledges that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to spirituality.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
And it makes you wonder, listener, which path might resonate most with you on your own spiritual journey.
It's a good question.
Yeah, but for now, let's move on to another profound theme that the Mahabharata tackles,
Okay.
the mysteries of life and death.
Okay, so the Mahabharata offers some really profound reflections on these eternal questions.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, for example, it emphasizes the cyclical nature of rebirth.
Okay.
There's this compelling analogy comparing the transmigration of the soul to passengers transferring from one boat to another
Okay.
upon reaching their destination.
I like that.
Death is not the end.
Right.
It's simply a transition to another life
So it's like a cosmic relay race, passing the baton from one life to the next.
I love that.
What else does the Mahabharata say about this whole life and death thing?
Well, it goes into detail about the consequences of our actions in the afterlife,
Oh, okay.
outlining the karmic repercussions of both virtuous and sinful deeds,
Okay.
suggesting that our actions in this life have an impact that extends, far beyond this lifetime.
Wow, that adds a whole new dimension to the choices we make every day.
They do.
Knowing they could have, like, karmic ripples
Right.
that affect our future lives,
Mm-hmm.
it really makes you think about the weight of your actions, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
But wait, there's more, isn't there?
There is. The Mahabharata also presents this fascinating concept of the 10 hotras,
Okay.
or sacrificing priests within the human body.
Sacrificing priests inside us. That sounds a little creepy.
Well, it's not literal.
Okay.
It's a symbolic representation of our sensory organs
Okay.
and their functions as offerings in this continuous ritual of life.
Okay.
Every breath, every sensation, every action is part of this this ongoing cosmic sacrifice.
Okay. That's a pretty mind-blowing way to view our everyday experiences.
I know, right?
It's like our bodies are temples,
Yeah,
and our senses are the offerings we make to the universe.
exactly.
What do you make of this, listener?
Yes.
Does this idea resonate with you in any way?
It's a beautiful way of understanding the interconnectedness of our physical and spiritual selves,
Right.
and our place within, the grand scheme of things.
Well, I have to admit, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
We've covered Dharma, the complex view of women, the power of giving, the paths to liberation,
Well, yeah.
and the mysteries of life and death. And
Right.
that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I know, that's just the beginning. It's hard to choose just one,
Right.
but the idea that really grabbed me is how the Mahabharata emphasizes the lasting impact of our actions.
Okay.
Not just in this life, but in future ones as well. That concept of karma and rebirth,
Yeah.
it's like woven into everything.
Yeah, it really makes you stop and think.
It does.
Every choice we make,
Yeah.
every word we speak
Right.
has these like ripple effects that go way beyond the moment.
Yeah, it's humbling and empowering at the same time.
Yeah, it really is.
It encourages us to be mindful of the choices we make, knowing that we're shaping not only our own destiny, but the world around us as well.
But speaking of choices,
Yeah.
all this talk about righteous actions and dharma makes me wonder, does the Mahabharata ever address the concept of evil?
Oh, that's a good question.
What about those who intentionally choose to do harm?
That's a great point.
It'd be kind of unrealistic to only focus on the good stuff.
Exactly.
Life's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No.
And neither is the Mahabharata.
The Mahabharata does not shy away from the darker side of human nature.
Right.
In fact, the core conflict of the epic
Right.
is this epic battle between good and evil, the Pandavas versus the Kauravas.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate showdown between
Yeah.
Dharma and Adharma,
Right.
the forces of righteousness versus the forces of, chaos and destruction.
Exactly. And through this central conflict,
Yeah.
the Mahabharata really digs into the nature of evil.
Okay.
Its root causes and the consequences that come with it.
Okay.
It acknowledges that evil exists in the world,
Right.
but it also offers insights into how to combat it,
Okay.
both within ourselves and in society as a whole.
So that brings up a pretty big question.
Okay.
If we're all essentially divine souls, as the Mahabharata suggests,
Right.
then where does this capacity for evil come from?
Yeah.
Like if we're all sparks of the divine,
Right.
how do we end up doing such awful things to each other?
It's a bit of a head scratcher, isn't it?
It really is.
Well, the Mahabharata points to ignorance,
Okay, desire.
desire, and attachment as the primary culprits.
Okay.
When we lose sight of our true nature,
Right.
become consumed by selfish desires and cling tightly to things that are ultimately impermanent,
Right.
that's when we veer off the path of Dharma.
So it's like these negative qualities cloud our judgment and lead us astray.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if overcoming these inner obstacles is essential not just for individual well-being,
Right.
but for the well-being of society as a whole.
Absolutely.
What do you think, listener?
The Mahabharata is a call to awaken to our true nature,
Right.
to cultivate wisdom, compassion and self-control,
Yeah.
and to act in accordance with Dharma.
It's like a roadmap for navigating
It is.
the complexities of human experience
Mhm.
and striving for a more just and harmonious world.
A more just and harmonious world.
It's amazing how these ancient teachings are still so relevant today.
I know.
You know, we might not be facing chariot battles and mythical weapons
Right.
like in the Mahabharata,
Right.
but we certainly have our own inner battles
Oh,
and social challenges to contend with.
yes, we do.
Don't we, listener?
That's the thing about the Mahabharata.
Yeah.
You know, it speaks to these timeless,
Right.
universal truths
Mm-hmm.
that transcend any particular time period
Right.
or culture.
Yeah.
Its insights into ethics, spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
and the human condition offer guidance.
Right.
That's just as relevant today
Right.
as it was thousands of years ago.
It's like a compass for the soul,
I like it.
pointing us towards a life of meaning and purpose.
Beautiful.
We've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From Dharma to karma, rebirth, liberation,
Mm-hmm.
and even the mysteries of life and death.
I know, it's a lot.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway you'd like our listener to walk away with?
You know, I think it's the message of hope and possibility
Okay.
that shines through the Mahabharata.
Okay.
It acknowledges the struggles and complexities of life,
Mm-hmm.
but it also emphasizes that we have the power to choose Dharma,
Okay.
to rise above our limitations, and to work towards a better future, both individually and collectively.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of chaos and conflict, we have the power to choose a different path.
We do.
A path of righteousness, compassion, and wisdom.
Exactly. And that choice, that commitment to Dharma,
Right.
has the power to transform not only our own lives, but the world around us.
Yeah. Now, before we get too philosophical here,
Okay.
let's take a step back and consider
Okay.
how this epic tale, the Mahabharata, has survived for centuries.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's a vast and complex work.
It is.
I'm curious how it was passed down through generations.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
The Mahabharata has this rich oral tradition.
Okay.
Before it was ever written down, it was composed in Sanskrit
Okay.
and transmitted orally
Wow.
by bards and storytellers.
So it was like a living, breathing story
It was.
that evolved over time.
It did.
Wow. Can you imagine like these skilled storytellers reciting these epic tales from memory,
Right.
captivating audiences with, you know, the adventures of gods, heroes, and sages?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it makes you realize how powerful storytelling can be.
It is.
Not just for entertainment,
Right.
but for preserving cultural heritage and passing down wisdom through the ages.
Absolutely. And the fact that the Mahabharata
Yeah.
not only survived but thrived
Right.
through this oral tradition speaks volumes
Wow.
about its enduring relevance
Right.
and the deep human need for stories that explore the big questions of life.
So what does this all mean for us today?
Right.
We have the written text now,
We do.
but how can we approach this ancient wisdom in a way that feels meaningful for our modern lives?
I think the key is to see the Mahabharata not as a rigid set of rules or a dry historical document,
Right.
but as a source of inspiration
Okay.
and reflection. You know, it's about engaging with these timeless themes,
Right.
Dharma, karma, the pursuit of liberation,
Yeah.
and finding ways to connect them
Right.
to our own experiences and the challenges we face in our lives today.
It's like having a conversation with the past,
It is.
you know, drawing wisdom from these ancient voices.
That help us navigate the present.
Exactly. The Mahabharata is a wellspring of insights that can guide us in our relationships, our careers,
Right.
our ethical dilemmas,
Uh-huh.
and our spiritual journeys.
It's about discovering those universal truths
It is.
that cut through the noise and connect us to something larger than ourselves.
Precisely. And that's what makes the Mahabharata so compelling.
Yeah.
Its ability to speak to the human heart
Right.
across millennia.
Yeah, it's a reminder that while the world may change, the fundamental questions we grapple with,
Right.
the challenges we face,
Yeah,
and the yearnings of the human spirit
absolutely.
remain remarkably consistent.
It is a reminder that we're all part of a much larger story,
Right.
a story that's been unfolding for centuries.
Yeah, and that's a pretty powerful thought to carry with us
It is.
as we navigate our own unique journeys.
It is. And as we delve further into the Mahabharata, we'll uncover even more of these timeless insights. As we've been unpacking all this wisdom from the Mahabharata, I've been thinking about how much we've already covered.
I know it's a lot.
From dharma and karma to rebirth and liberation.
Right.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is.
What are your thoughts, listener?
Yeah.
Feeling a little overwhelmed?
Well, it's certainly a lot to take in, but
Right.
that's part of what makes exploring the Mahabharata so rewarding.
Right.
You know, it's like peeling back layers of an onion.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something new to discover.
And speaking of discoveries,
Yeah.
I think it's time we address the elephant in the room.
Okay. What's that?
We've talked about all these profound themes and insights,
Right.
but we haven't really touched on what might be the most compelling aspect
Oh, okay.
of the
The
Mahabharata.
stories themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like-
I mean, let's be honest, who doesn't love a good story?
Right.
And the Mahabharata is chock full of them.
It is.
Epic battles.
Yes.
Love triangles.
Divine interventions, political intrigue.
It has it all.
It's got it all.
The stories are what bring the philosophical and spiritual teachings to life.
Right.
They provide this framework for understanding, abstract concepts in
Okay.
a more relatable
Right.
and engaging way.
They're like little windows
Yes.
into the hearts and minds of the characters,
Mhm.
allowing us to see how these universal themes
Right.
play out in their lives.
Mhm.
And through their struggles and triumphs,
Right.
we can glean valuable insights
Yes.
for our own journeys.
For example, the story of Arjuna's dilemma on the battlefield,
Okay.
facing his own relatives,
Right.
raises these profound questions
Yeah.
about duty, loyalty,
Mm.
and the nature of right action.
It's a situation that resonates with many of us, even today,
It does.
as we navigate these complex ethical choices
Absolutely.
in our own lives.
Yeah. And the story of Draupadi,
Okay.
who's publicly humiliated and vows revenge, speaks to the enduring themes of injustice, resilience, and the pursuit of justice.
So these stories aren't just ancient myths.
No, they're not.
They're timeless reflections
They are.
of the human experience,
Mhm.
offering guidance and wisdom
Absolutely.
for navigating the challenges we face today.
I think that's one of the reasons why the Mahabharata has resonated with people for centuries.
Right.
It's not just a collection of dry teachings or abstract concepts.
Mhm.
You know, it's this living, breathing epic
Right.
that speaks to the deepest yearnings of the human heart.
And it's a reminder that even though these stories were written thousands of years ago,
Right.
the core of human experience,
Yes.
our struggles, our triumphs,
Mm.
our search for meaning,
Yes,
hasn't really changed all that much.
it really hasn't. And that's a pretty powerful realization, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
He connects us to this long lineage of seekers,
Mm-hmm.
those who have walked this path before us. We can draw strength and inspiration from their stories,
Right.
knowing that we're not alone in our struggles.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
Yeah.
into the Mahabharata,
Mm-hmm.
what's the one thing you'd like our listener to take away?
You know, I think it's the invitation to approach the Mahabharata with a sense of curiosity
Okay.
and an open heart.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be intimidated by its complexity or its length.
Right.
Dive in, explore the stories, and see what resonates with you.
It's about finding those nuggets of wisdom that speak to your soul,
Exactly.
those insights that can guide you on your own unique path.
Exactly. And who knows, you might just discover that this ancient epic
Yeah.
has something profound to say about your life today.
Well said.
Thank you.
And on that note, we want to thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the Mahabharata.
Yes, thank
We
you.
hope you've enjoyed this deep dive as much as we have.
And we encourage you to continue exploring this ancient text.
Yes.
There's a whole universe of wisdom waiting to be discovered
Mm.
within its pages.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.